What's up everybody, Elio here, and I am back. And I am ready to show you a sweet new deck that I've been brewing, and I'm excited to play it. Just kidding, I'm not playing. Instead, I am bringing you something wonderful, something beautiful, something new. Something that I hope you'll be excited about. Introducing the Altered Rotisserie Draft format. A new limited format for the Altered trading card game that I am really excited about. How does it work? Well, first, every single legal non-unique card is available to draft. If you've ever played a Magic the Gathering cube, it's kind of like that, except there's a single copy of every card. You can get Sigmar, you can get Small Step, you can get Hydrocana, you can draft anything. Second, the draft is a public face-up snake draft. That means player 1 announces their pick, Mana Flare, I'm sure, and then that card is off the board. Everybody knows what they picked, and it goes to the next player to make their pick. Once you get to the final player, they make 2 picks in a row, and the picks snake back towards the first player, who will eventually have the 16th pick of the draft. Third, you are drafting a legal altered limited deck. This means you can draft Sigmar, you can draft Small Step, and you can draft Hydrocana, all in the same deck. And there's no rare limit. You can have a deck with 29 rares and a hero, and your deck is good. Next, you get exactly 30 picks. There are no extra picks, every single pick counts, including the hero, which you choose when to draft. Finally, you draft a legal deck. You can't waste a pick hate drafting a second hero, and once you have 3 colors, you cannot draft something in a 4th. If you want to take something off the board, you have to be able to play it. This brings up a lot of questions, most of which excite me. Randomize the pick order, and then what will they pick? Baba Yaga, Helping Hand, Sigmar? How early will the first hero even go? Who will it be? People also wonder, is Altered big enough to support this? You bet it is. Even if every player drafts the same 3 colors, not only are there enough cards for everyone, there are enough cards for every single player to draft only rares, which means the possibilities are pretty huge. So what off-meta cards can shine here? With the new normal 15 rare limit, a lot of cards that are great just don't get seen. Things like Rare Sticky Notes or Monolith Scribe, lots of cards just don't make the cut at 40-15, but can be seen here. And with 3 colors, entirely new strategies emerge. Can you use Lyra Festival with the Axiom mechanical training? How does Glue Ring work with the tokens of Axiom and Ysmir? Again, this opens up a whole new world. Finally, how the hell do you manage this? Well, I built an awesome spreadsheet tool that we used in our first inaugural draft and that I'm opening up and sharing so that you can use it too. The sheet contains every legal card and pre-filters your options to select them. When you pick, the card is color-coded and bolded if it's a rare, so you can easily see what is happening. And if you pick a card that has been drafted by someone else, it will loudly complain to make it obvious. To test this format out, I assembled an all-star cast of the coolest, best, and most impactful members of the Altered community. Kojo Main, the #1 Altered YouTuber that actually plays the game, a player not tied to the meta who will always try out creative builds, and the only Altered VTuber that I'm aware of. Vittorio, he has one of my favorite YouTube channels right now where he plays a ton of very creative decks that you should definitely check out if you can stomach a little Italiano. Team member of Team Ant, an incredible player with multiple tournament placements including top 16 at Angers, and winner of the Altered World Tournament 4th edition. Pratatasker, Keelon Guy, winner of the very first AWOL Championship, Ellie Award-winning tournament commentator, and founding member of Team AQZ. Blue, another great commentator, community member that you can find active on the Discord, and all-around badass. Freeloader, holder of the most 39cards.com tournament results, no unique championship series commentator, and member of Team AQZ. Kohlrabi, runner of everything Altered Corner, including the Ace Tournament Series and their Ace Quality podcast. Finally, me, YouTuber. I exist. Yeah. So, the plan, we took all of us, randomized the pick order. I got first. I really did not want to be first, but I did. And after the draft, we are going to be playing each other in a round-robin format to determine who is the first ever Altered Rotisserie draft champion. So, with that, let's jump into the draft, see some of the picks, and talk about the decks afterwards. With the first pick, I had a choice to make, and I really didn't want to be in this position. I set this draft up to see what other people would do, and now I have to do it? Regardless, I think in general you have 2 things you can do with early picks in a draft. 1, you can make powerful but open choices. Things like Baba Yaga, Small Step, Giant Leap, off you go. Flexible, strong cards that can go in a lot of decks. This lets you stay open and respond to the draft as it develops. Or you can plant a flag. take something like Aphanis or Lyra Festival, tell people that this is my lane, and enter it at your own risk. I generally like to draft the first way, open, and with the first pick, it would be 15 picks between my next one, so I really didn't want multiple people taking key follow-ups from me if I took a flag post. Luckily, I do think there was a card in the pool that kinda fit both categories. Haven Bravos Bastion is an incredibly powerful card, and there's a reason the Axiom version was nerfed. But this is a Rotisserie draft, so even on drafting the Bravos one, it isn't restricted to synergizing only with Bravos cards. With a Haven pick, I could potentially have powerful lines like Fen or Subash available to me, but even in a normal deck, it's also just a fine card. So, with Haven, I kicked off the draft and felt good. Kohlrabi opened with a small step giant leap. I think this is a fine pick, though Kohlrabi explains his reasoning that he didn't really want it for himself, but just wanted to take it away from others. Word of advice, don't do that. Not because it's mean or anything like that, anything is free game. But you only have 30 picks, and your early ones are especially precious, so make sure you have a plan and goal for your own picks. You're going to need those cards, and working with them is important. Luckily, Small Step is a powerful card on its own, so as long as you're able to get out ahead, this will be a good card in the deck. Pratt opens with the first hero in Siggy. I think this is an unsurprising first hero to go. Siggy is obviously incredibly powerful. It also has great synergy cards, but even without those, its ability in a vacuum is great. This is an open hero pick that lets you go a lane. Blue opened, I think, with the first surprising pick to me, a very early Lyra Festival. I was excited to see what he did with it. Vittorio also opened with something that I did not expect to see so early, but after he picked it, I think it makes sense. Aphanis is definitely a good way to plant a flag, and there are a lot of directions you can go with it that I think still make it fantastic. Keelan opens with the second Small Step Giant Leap, the common version. Another thing that I don't think I expected to see happen in the draft. Two versions of the same card going in the first round. But people clearly find the card extremely powerful and wanted to make sure they could grab it while they could. Kojo opened up with what I will easily claim is the most surprising pick of the first round. Axiom Daring Porter. I've not seen much of this card, though no doubt it is a solid card, the brown Baba Yaga. The really interesting thing about this pick is that I think it starts to plant the flag in what I was expecting to be one of the less sought after colors, Axiom. If someone goes hard into Axiom early, it really dissuades a lot of others from encroaching on their territory. A cool pick. Finally, Freelitter opened with Tiny Jin. TJ was one of those cards I was considering alongside Haven Sarengar for my own first pick, or at least early picks if I was not the first picker. Though I could not decide which one I liked more between the two, TJ is probably the flat better card, but something about Sarengar just feels right to me. Regardless, as he pairs it with his second pick, he gets started with the two best ramp and body spells in the game. And I don't want to talk about every pick, but I do want to stop on this next one, Hooked. I think Hooked is one of the very best Axiom cards that there is post-Haven nerf. And I didn't think many other people felt this way. But it's clear Kojo is on the same wavelength. I thought for sure I'd be able to snap this up before other people caught on, but Kojo has planted his flag firmly, and his first two picks in general create an environment where I was a little scared off of Subash and traced angles with my early picks. Perhaps too scared. With my first double pick, I took two Sarengars. I said it was a card I was looking at in the first round, and I think they are very Baba Yaga comparable, and perhaps, because nobody else took them, underrated. A body that can win lanes and refill the hand, I'm a huge fan. The next interesting pick, though, is Keelan Guy's Baba's Isba, a huge flag plant. Keelan had taken Small Step Giant Leap, and off you go at this point, but I did not expect a Lindaway plant. A cool pick because, one, a lot of the best Lindaway cards are not super desirable by others, so you can get general free reign on them in later picks, including with the Lindaway hero themselves. But also, Lindaway fights over some of the same synergy cards that Siggy does, and I think it's good for the powerful champions to have some competition so they don't get free reign. Freeloader takes the fourth hero of the draft with Fen. And I'm regretting my own pick order a little bit with this one. I think Fen in a vacuum is one of the strongest heroes in the game, and I think I should probably just have dropped one of the Sarengars to nab her up. Alas, I felt too safe, and Freelitter jumps in and grabs the queen herself. My next two picks are Aloe and Jack Frost. At this point, I felt nobody had taken any good green cards, and we were a bit late in the draft for the color to be wide open. So, I made an executive decision and went in. Aloe and Jack are the best characters in a vacuum out of green, in my opinion, and I wanted to take them off the board to dissuade other green players. We will end up seeing how well this worked out. Let's take a pause and look at the first 5 picks. You've already seen mine. Cole has an interesting Basira going, with the potential to use anchored characters that get boosts to stick around with Basira. Pratt has powerhouses of blue and purple supporting his S tier hero. Blue has a pink and blue Lyra Festival deck. Can you tell what it is up to yet? Victor has a very strong Aphanis going. He has chosen green as his second color, getting to benefit from the almost unique quality Spindle Harvesters when it is in Aphanis. Keelon Guy seems to have a solid control deck going that will almost assuredly end up being Lindaway. And Kojo has no shortage for calcium as he corners the market on Milk and Axiom. Finally, Freeloader has taken the third small step while moving in on his powerful Fen hero. And back to the draft. I love Keelon Cylinder, incredibly underrated card, but I was with a bunch of sharks and they knew to take it highly. At this point, I take another 2 double picks to take my third color. The 2 best characters to me, in pink, had still not been taken, and so I made the executive decision to give up my Axiom Dreams and to go into pink, red, green. With these picks, I secured all the Sarangars, both Aloes, and I can move as a powerful Tasia or a more clever Rin going forward. I wanted to do the latter, even if it was not as strong, and with what I had so far with 3 Sarangars, I had a very sleek Rin shaping up. Following this, though, I was very surprised to see Cole take winter outfits. I haven't played enough Rin to know how great it is, but to see it out of his Basira felt odd. Was he hate drafting me? Was this a card worth hate drafting? I spent my next 2 picks on Muda Merchant and Mowgli, 2 premier 2-drops in green, in any reserve-based strategy. I feel the Muda Merchant is key, and the Mowgli gives me a Rin card that gives me some utility from reserve. And then Pratt's Gift of Self is interesting, as it sets him up to fight over some of the key sacrifice cards with Lindaway. Siggy can also greatly benefit from these, and a single draw 3 sets you up on card advantage for the rest of the game. At this point, Blue had planted his third color as green to presumably go in on his Lyra Festival deck. But I was green and I myself had an eye on the festival, so I decided to start going in on the cards that were excellent in their own right. And 2 Kodamas are probably the best festival cards in a vacuum. Keelon Guy's Rallying Call is a great pick. I was wondering how early this would go, but with at least 1 Lyra Festival player in the draft and me sneaking up on it, this is an incredible counter to the sleep cards while also being a great 1-drop on its own. Blue had taken his second festival, but not his third. So I decided to take the third for my own. With this, I could always threaten the festival, making people play around it, but I did not need to go all in on the strategy and could play a more traditional game while keeping it in my back pocket. Cole takes Ganesha here, with which some of his previous picks is interesting. He can re-trigger Dracana or Eros, but on that note, these types of cute things like Ganesha and Eros are not going to be wanted by anyone else. And when you're drafting face up, you can save these types of picks towards later in the draft, and instead prioritize things that multiple people may want that are powerhouses in their own right, like the Bravos Blade Dancers or Rare Auklet. Let's pause to look at how a few of the decks are shaping up. I'm fairly happy with where I am right now. A very strong early start with a festival game plan in the back pocket. Lots of beaters, card advantage, 7 ways to anchor, and 3 ways to sleep. Sleep will probably end up being my festival deck's weak point, but festival is not my plan A. Freeloader's Fen is looking extremely terrifying, both in casters, the ramping Jin, Cylinder, and for anything awkward that ends up in hand or reserve that he doesn't want, he has the sleight of hand to make swaps. Pratt is also looking very scary right now. He's competing with Lindaway for cards they both want, but Pratt will be able to push so much advantage with the cards he has and eventually go over the top with the Grand Endeavor. A lot of independently powerful cards that also have synergies between them. Can you tell what Blue is doing yet? I'll give you a second. It's going to be Waru Festival. This looks extremely scary, and it's part of the reason I felt necessary to go in on the festival myself. I think Festival is great in my deck, and if I can go at his while not weakening my own, all the better. But he has by far the better Festival deck. Every Bureaucrat is a way to sleep, and he gets the best version of each one. Very scary deck. Back to the draft. There are a lot of picks here that kind of go through. And again, I'm going to let them go through and only comment on ones that I feel are, real juicy to talk about. There's 240 picks, and if I talk about each one, then we're going to be spending a lot of time on this video. And while I think this format's sweet and the draft is very sick, I don't want to make you drone through all of that. So, feel free to pause anytime. The spreadsheet below will have the overall draft in it. And yeah, a lot of interesting picks coming through. As we close here on pick 21, some of our players don't have 3 colors. Namely, Kojo just closes in on his 3rd color. And his Ratatasker, man is it sick. In case you haven't been noticing, Kojo has all 3 milks, and he's ready to turn Ortis tokens into beasts. All of a sudden, Kojo's deck is terrifying. Without a doubt, he will be able to put more power on the board than anybody. Another point of me being happy that I have an alternate win condition in the form of Lyra Festival, because without that, Kojo just may be able to beat me on both lanes every single time. Pratt's Kraken is very cool. Could have been in the Lindaway, but inside of the Sigmar, it's something that the Ortis doesn't normally have access to the very effective version of it, so a scary top end that you just have to respect, because if you don't, it'll take both lanes from you on a turn. Kohlrabi takes Common Banishing Gate. Things have been moving a little fast, but yes, Rare Banishing Gate is still available. And as we continue on with these picks, you see here that Pratt takes the Rare Banishing Gate. I myself start to move in on my Rin plan. Tasia was always an option for me, but I want to try something new here, and I start to take the cards that I don't think anybody else is going to be competing over, and I feel pretty solid in my last 5 or so picks that nobody is going to be taking the things that I want. I got my Persephones, I got my Icebound Taigas, and I finished my last non-hero pick with a Capellia. The last round sees some of the very interesting picks. Freeloader's Ouroboros is insane in Fen. His last card could easily be the best card in his deck. Very cool pick. Blue ends up with a card that I honestly forgot existed. And what a sick card for his Lyra Festival. Being able to, from reserve, activate the festival in blue, very neat. And I, as said, have of course ended on Rin. Okay, that's the draft. I'm going to finish up this video by talking about decks a little bit, and let me know which decks you think are the strongest. What picks surprised you? What cards are you surprised weren't drafted? I'll be back next week with a more traditional deck and gameplay video, but also let me know if you want to see some gameplay of this tournament. Anyway, starting off, we have my deck. A Rin Stompy deck with a Festival Plan B. I think if I had gone Tasia, I could have had a more solid, consistent deck, but I really wanted to try this out. And I think when I get Haven, the deck can be extremely scary, which makes sense since it's my first pick, but I may be a little too fair when I am not on my Haven game plan. We will see how it goes. Kohlrabi has a well-curved Basira deck with a lot of spicy choices. His deck is a little split between some game plans, with Winter Outfits, Neelam, Ganesha, and Basira strats often wanting different things, but if he gets the right pieces, he is doing some things you have absolutely never seen before. Pratt is the bad guy. A good friend of mine, one of the best players I know, he drafted a powerful Sigmar deck that won't run out of gas due to Babas, Gift, and Rune Scribes, and just seems in general hard to fight against. Its curve is a little higher than you usually see for Sigmar decks, since many of the 1-drops were heavily competed over, but nevertheless, it seems strong. Blue's Waru is incredible, with some bureaucrats that are strong even outside of Waru, and just a really powerful festival game plan. With only 2 of the festivals, though, people may be able to pick off his festival game plan and make him play fair. Victor just got an absolute powerhouse of an Aphanis deck. I think maybe Joyride is the most experimental card here, but this thing seems like it has so much staying power. He's one of the players I'm most scared of. Keelan, on the other end of the spectrum in terms of speed, has just an extremely solid Lindaway deck that I think can show off how powerful of a hero Lindaway really is. The Atlas is a very spicy pick, making his Maw go into both lanes, and his overall card suite lets him play an excellent, responsive control game. I talked about Kojo's milks a lot, but in general, the power he can put on the board is just off the charts. I think the only thing that may stop him is himself. There's so much fleeting, I wonder if he will run out of cards. If he doesn't, I don't see him losing. Very neat combination of colors. Finally, Freeloader. This is who I am most scared of. I think Fen is a top tier hero, and Freeloader drafted her beautifully. I talked about it a lot during the picks, but yeah, this thing looks consistent. That's the video. I appreciate all of you coming and watching, and as said, I should be back next time with a more traditional vid.